Well, good morning, everyone. I am Ann Metcalf. This is my Conscious Eating, Conscious Living chat, June 28th, 2026. And welcome. Thank you for coming to listen now or later. I like to look at different topics, and today is one close to me, as my heart, but also my ears. And the title is The Quiet Intelligence of Your Ears, Listening to the Wisdom Within. And hello. I'd like to begin with a question. When was the last time you really thought about your ears? Probably not until they gave you a reason to. For as long as I can remember, hearing has been part of my own story. As a child, I experienced repeated ear infections, hearing loss, and surgeries. Like many children growing up in those years, we simply accepted that ear infections happened and the surgery was sometimes the answer. No one talked about the Eustachian tube, earwax, the brain's role in hearing, or how lifestyle and our environment might influence ear health. We simply dealt with the problem and carried on, which is what I did. Fast forward several decades. Today, I teach in elementary classrooms. I've noticed that I sometimes struggle to hear children's softer voices. My husband occasionally sounds as though he's speaking more quietly than everyone else. I even realize that if I click a pen in front of me, my right ear hears it more softly than my left. Every now and then, I hear a brief crackling sound, almost as if my ear is trying to rebalance itself. Because we know that our body can heal itself. Can the hearing work the same way? Those little experiences spark my curiosity. Is this simply aging? Is it connected to my childhood? Could something be as ordinary as earwax be contributing? What has modern science discovered about hearing that we didn't know when I was a child? Those questions sent me on another wonderful journey of discovery. Not because I believe our bodies never change as we age, they do, but because I don't believe our bodies are designed simply to fall apart. One of the ideas that has influenced me over the years comes from Bruce Lipton. He reminds us that our beliefs influence how we experience our bodies. While our beliefs don't prevent every illness or erase every physical change, they do influence how we respond. They affect our curiosity, our resilience, our stress levels, and the choices we make every day. I choose curiosity. That curiosity has led me to appreciate something I've come to call the quiet intelligence of the body, that beautiful divine design that we are. In my book, Whispers from the Earth, I wrote about learning to listen to the soil. The earth whispers through the wind, the trees, the birds, and the changing seasons. Our bodies whisper too. They whisper through sensations, through subtle changes, through symptoms that invite us to pay attention. The question is the same in both cases. Are we listening? Childhood ear infections, then and now. When I was growing up, ear infections were almost considered a rite of passage. Many children had repeated infections, antibiotics were prescribed frequently, and surgeries such as ear tubes or procedures on the eardrum were common. Today, we understand much more. Children's eustachian tubes are shorter, narrower, and more horizontal than those of adults, making it easier for fluid to become trapped behind the eardrums. Viruses, allergies, enlarged adenoids, and inflammation can all interfere with the ear's ability to drain properly. Research has also shown that exposure to cigarette smoke, especially secondhand smoke, increases the risk of recurrent ear infections. Smoke irritates the lining of the nose and eustachian tube, making it harder for the middle ear to ventilate and drain. Nutrition plays an important role in supporting the immune system as well. While dairy has not been shown to cause ear infections in most children or adults, a small number of people with a true cow's milk allergy, or occasionally those with chronic congestion, may notice improvement when that allergy is addressed. Every body is unique. which reminds us to stay curious rather than assume one answer fits everyone. Now, the amazing story of earwax, something that I didn't know. Now, let's talk about one of the most misunderstood substances in the human body, earwax. Most of us think of it as something dirty that should be removed. In reality, earwax is one of the body's protective gifts. It traps dust, pollen, bacteria, tiny insects, and other particles before they can travel deeper into the ear. It moisturizes the skin of the ear canal, helps prevent infection, and creates an environment that discourages harmful microorganisms. That's pretty good. Earwax isn't dirt, it's protection. Even more amazing is the fact that the ear has its own built-in cleaning system. Imagine those little scrubbles, you got little hair follicles sending the dirt and whatever else out the ear. The skin lining the ear canal slowly migrates outward, almost like a tiny conveyor belt, carrying old wax with it. Every time we talk, chew, laugh, or yawn, our jaw movements help move wax toward the opening of the ear, where it usually dries and falls away naturally. Think about that. Your ears have been quietly cleaning themselves every day of your life. Thank you. Thank you, earwax. So why do so many of us use cotton swabs? I'm guilty of that. Many of us grew up believing cotton swabs were part of good hygiene. The habit became so widespread that people naturally assumed they were designed for cleaning inside the ear. Ironically, today's manufacturers include warnings not to insert them into the ear canal. Why? Because instead of removing wax, cotton swabs often push it further inside. Farther and farther and deeper it goes. They can compact it against the eardrum, scratch the delicate skin, or even injure the eardrum itself. Sometimes the very thing we think is helping is actually interfering with one of the body's beautifully designed systems. And when hearing becomes muffled, if wax becomes impacted, hearing can suddenly seem muffled, almost as though someone has turned the volume down. Some people notice ringing, others feel pressure or fullness. A cold or sinus infection can produce a similar experience, although for a different reason. Instead of increasing earwax, a cold often causes swelling around the eustachian tube, the tiny passage connecting the middle ear to the back of the nose. When this tube doesn't open properly, pressure changes and sound become less clear. Some people notice crackling or popping as the pressure equalizes again. Sometimes hearing changes are caused by wax, sometimes by pressure. And for me, in flying in an airplane, when we're descending, that's when there's an issue with the air pressure of the cabin and how that works, and then the painful ear. I don't know how many of you experience that, but it's related to the pressure in the eustachian tube, and sometimes by changes in the inner ear, and sometimes by a combination of all three. Curiosity helps us discover which one is speaking. Hearing is more than ears. Years ago, I took a course at Simon Fraser University on learning disabilities. One of the instructors spoke about fascinating research showing that hearing isn't simply about our ears, it also is about the brain. And that conversation stayed with me. Today, we know that hearing is truly a partnership. The ears collect the sound, the brain gives it meaning. The brain identifies familiar voices, filters the background noise, fills in missing words, connects sound with memories, and retrieves language almost instantly. Have you ever misunderstood the lyrics of a song? Most of us have, and I know I have. Our brains are constantly making educated guesses based on incomplete information. As hearing becomes even slightly more difficult, the brain has to work harder simply to decode what it hears. That leaves fewer mental resources for remembering, concentrating, and following conversations. especially in busy places like restaurants or classrooms, which makes me think about students who, what, they're not paying attention in class, they're not remembering things. Is it a hearing problem? I mean, some of it could be sort of lack of attention, but what is the source of that? As a child going through elementary school, high school, I didn't hear everything. And you develop little tricks um, to make other people think that you um, hear what they said, you said. Yeah, so it's a challenge, and something for teachers and parents, I think, to pay attention to. Perhaps that's why I notice children's softer voices more than louder voices that are outdoors. It isn't only about hearing, it's about processing. Now, supporting the quiet intelligence of our ears. So, what can we do? Trust the body's natural ear cleaning system and avoid putting cotton swabs into the ear canal. I got that one. Protect our ears from prolonged loud noise, right? So, if you're working at a job with that loud noise, then you wear those ear protectors. There's actually special silicone earplugs you can put in. If you have to listen to loud music as part of your job or equipment, there's a different ear plugs to fit the different hearing experiences. So just treat repeated ear infections or persistent hearing changes seriously, rather than assuming, they're just part of getting older. If hearing seems different in one ear or speech becomes harder to understand, have a comprehensive hearing assessment. Sometimes the answer is as simple as removing impacted wax. Other times, hearing tests reveal whether the issue lies in the middle ear, the inner ear, or in how the brain is processing sound. Keep the brain active through movement, conversation, music, learning, and activities that engage multiple senses. Hearing and brain health truly work together. And that's why one of the programs that I've taken is Ageless Grace. And it's a body brain fitness. And you can just check it, Denise Medved, Ageless Grace, because it works on all 5 elements of the brain and firing the neurons, activating old ones and getting new ones going. And that helps with your memory, your balance, just your overall health. I welcome you to check it out. So, final thoughts. Perhaps this journey isn't really about earwax. Perhaps it's about learning to trust that our own bodies possess an extraordinary intelligence. Just as the soil quietly nourishes roots we cannot see, our bodies are constantly repairing, adapting, communicating, excuse me, and seeking, excuse me, and seeking balance. Our body is always the earth, the universe. It's always seeking balance and harmony. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes they ask for our attention. And I remember as a 8 or 9-year-old thinking I had an earwig in my ear. And thankfully, my parents, because of the ear infections that I had, took me to the doctor. Well, he flushed out the ear, and out pops this wax that was almost the size of an earwig. No wonder I thought there was something creepy crawling in my ear. And at the time, it was frightening. And now I'm going, oh, okay. That's what it was. Sometimes they simply invite us to become more curious. And I don't believe aging means our bodies suddenly lose their wisdom. I believe they continue speaking to us every day. Nature whispers, our bodies whisper. Wisdom begins when we become quiet enough to hear both. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, keep listening. Namaste. And thank you so much. And I hope you've learned a few things, share a few things, and go visit an audiologist and get the reason for your lack of hearing figured out. Be curious. Thank you And until we meet again. And then you can always check out my uh, web, my website, and my app, Authentic Sacred Design. So until next time, toodaloo, much love. Love yourself.